When Alexander was 19, his father was murdered, here in the theatre at Vergina. Suddenly, unexpectedly, Alexander was king. And we set off in his footsteps from the little station below Vergina, our aim to follow him as closely as we could. In May of that year, Alexander's army was ferried across the Dardanelles from Europe to Asia. In the transport ships, he had 35,000 troops. Meanwhile, Alexander himself sailed on downstream, on a pilgrimage to a place sacred in all Greek hearts, and especially his, Troy. He was the first to go ashore.
Woo! Alexander waded ashore in full ceremonial armor. Plumes on his helmet, shield on his chest, the Gorgon's head whose image was supposed to turn onlookers into stone. And his first act was to throw his spear to the shore, claiming that Asia was his by right, won by the spear. What a photo opportunity!
He walked up from the beach with his dearest friend and lover Hephaestion to sacrifice at the graves of the Greek heroes killed in the Trojan War. And the two young men ran naked round the tomb of his ancestor Achilles. Below the hill of Troy, they saw where Achilles had dragged Hector's body behind his chariot. Then they visited the old town of Troy. Since he was a boy, Alexander had hero-worshipped the Greek warriors who'd fought and died on these walls 1,000 years before. Their deeds here had won them eternal glory, and Alexander thirsted for that above all things, says the historian Arrian. On top of windy Troy, they went into the temple of the goddess Athena.
Inside the temple, Alexander was shown weapons which were said to have been used by the heroes in the Trojan War. And he left his behind and took them with him, including a shield which was said to have been Achilles, which was taken with him all the way to India. Coming here and honoring and sacrificing for the heroes, giving blood to their ghosts, Alexander was trying to co-opt them, to have the heroes fighting for him in his war against Asia.
The Persian Empire was the largest which had yet existed on earth. The Persians ruled from Ethiopia to the Black Sea, and from the Aegean to India. Their king, Darius, was lord of the world. This was what Alexander was taking on. Alexander soon defeated the Persians' local governor and opened up the coast. All the way down the western seaboard of Turkey, there were Greek cities under Persian rule, powerhouses of Greek civilization. Alexander's tutor, Aristotle, had taught here. And in many of these cities, Alexander was seen as a liberator. Alexander came along this path to the temple at Didyma. Just as he had enlisted the help of the heroes of Troy, he now sought the support of one of the most powerful of the Olympian gods, Apollo, whose oracle had once drawn pilgrims here from all over the Greek world. Alexander did. This was a war of revenge, and in his mind the war would be fought on the level of the gods too, gods whose shrines had been desecrated by the Persians. Back in the time of the Great Persian War, the Persians had sacked Didyma, its sacred spring had dried up, its prophecies ceased, but to Alexander, Apollo was still here. He went down into the shrine, and as the historian Callisthenes told the tale, as if by magic, the spring came back to life. However it happened, the oracle had found a voice after 150 years, and it said Alexander would triumph over the Persians.